Hi guys, welcome to this weekend edition of the Digital Painting Pumpkin Carving Challenge live. I'm super happy to be here again with you guys. I've been live all week long and it was truly a pleasure. I'm looking forward to continue my painting, my pumpkin that I have right here. I started that, I believe it was on Thursday. And now we are Saturday night for me. I'm assuming Saturday morning for the most of you guys if you are in the States, or maybe in the afternoon if you're in Europe. And I feel like I'll be adding probably a few details here, a few textures, but this one is pretty much done, I think. I'm pretty happy with it. There's nice, some nice sliding on it, a few details. This is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this one. If I finish this one today, I'll probably just do some more tomorrow in the tribe. For everybody that wants to join me, we have one last live where we can paint together. It was truly an amazing experience to be able to go live. It was, I believe, on, I want to say, was it yesterday? I'm losing the timeline here, but it was just fun to be in Discord and be able to just paint with you guys. You were able to share your screen and everybody kind of just hanging in there. So if you're not part of the Digital Painting Academy tribe, it's free to join. There is a link probably in the description. Before I start, there's a few questions that were asked actually. So the challenge you have until Sunday midnight Pacific time, I believe, to submit to get a chance to enter the contest, which winners will be picked at random at that point to give away the 6 Huion tablets that we have. I'm pretty excited about this. So the winners will be announced on the Monday, and it is not too late to participate if you haven't started yet. All you have to do is to share your work, share your process. During the weekend, you still have 2 more days to participate. You can do so on Instagram as well as in the Digital Painting Academy. I keep saying that, but it's a tribe, in Discord. And don't forget to tag us on Instagram. Instagram changed their algorithm, and the hashtag are not as easy as to find them. So if you tag us and you put the hashtag paintable pumpkin, we'll have all the chances to see your work. So that's for that. I had some question about the Spooky 20. People wanted to know the Spooky 20 is a flash sale that we're having for the Digital Painting Academy. People that don't know, what I do usually is not just painting pumpkin, but I actually teach digital art. Matter of fact, let me just go on the registration page real quick so you guys have a visual of what it is. So here you have it. There is a band that you can see here in pink that says you have 4 more days. So there's 4 days to get the deal. It's a 20% off. There's a link in the description of this video, and you'll be able to know what's in the Digital Painting Academy. I won't go through all of this, just showing you that if you click on the I'm in, it's going to bring you at the bottom of the page, and you can see here 4 more days. We have 20% on both the annual and the monthly. So be sure to take advantage of that. If you have question about what's inside the Digital Painting Academy later, because you want to know what's inside, I can show you that later as well. But for now, let me just jump back to Photoshop. I'll be painting with you guys. For a few minutes, I'll answer all and every question that you guys may have. It's going to be a pleasure to answer all of them. And before I get lost, where is my chat? There it is. Bam. All right. I want to say hi to Anita, Alexi, Osen, Robert, Ella. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me from Ireland, Netherlands, Croatia. That's great. That's awesome. And yeah, I'm hoping that everybody is having a good time. Oh, Danielle from Ontario. Ontario, Canada. Awesome. So yeah, I'm going to continue here with my pumpkin. This is the place where when I'm adding details, I kind of get lost into my concentration. So if I spend a few minutes saying nothing, don't take it personal. If you have any question and you're on the chat with me, Put a capital Q in front of it. This way, if you guys have a conversation between you guys, it just helps me to be able to see the questions. Anita says, I'm still working on my pumpkin, created a scene, and it was fun to draw. But adding right colors and lighting is time consuming. It is absolutely. And for everybody that don't know yet, we did 3 classes at the beginning of the week where I thought about sketching, coloring, and lighting. You can go check them out later if you want to. They will stay on the YouTube channel of Paintable. Go check them out if you want them. They will definitely help you with your design. So like I was saying, details. Adding details is, at the very least for me, I'm going to add texture here basically, fixing a bit the lighting here and there. But for me, adding details is all about kind of trial and error. I try some stuff. If I like it, if they work, I keep them. And my goal is not to add details everywhere, but just try to push the realism and yeah, have some fun with adding texture. Once again, I feel like this is the end of the week almost. We're finishing the challenge tomorrow, but I feel like it was a huge success, guys. I saw so many great design this year, guys. You were just on it. Seeing like this one, for example, the one that I'm painting was actually, I got inspired by one of you that did a Frankenstein pumpkin. I was like, this is a genius idea. I'm going to do it. So yeah, just thank you for everybody that's sharing the work. I know it's not always easy to share your work, especially when you're like a beginner, but truly the community, seeing the community just getting all together in these challenges is just truly inspiring. I want to say hi to everybody that's joining. We have some people from Portugal now and Ecuador. That's awesome. Hi, guys. Yeah. If you are participating and it's not too early for you, if you want to paint at the same time, go for it. But like I was saying, if you have any question, just shoot away. I'll be just adding some details. I feel like I want to add maybe some little imperfections here and there. I'm feeling like maybe I could just add some I don't know how I'd call them, some blurbs on the side here. I add that on my painting of 2019, and I have my previous painting on another window here to just give me like a reference. I actually like to use my own illustrations sometimes as reference. It helps to see what I did good that I like, actually. You know, it's not because you nail one painting one day that you nail all of them. You know, so sometimes having reference from the work that you have done that you're actually proud of can really help you. So that's a little bit what I'm doing right now. And while I'm doing this, just a reminder of what I'm doing right now is thinking about my light direction always. So there's a light source that comes from the left. So I make sure to have, for example, here a darker side that's to represent the shadow. I could even think maybe like there's like a little bit of a cast shadow maybe at the back, just a slightly one. Some light that bounce. Reminder to put a capital Q if you have a question, but Jackie, you seem to have a question, so I'm going to read it. Could you explain how to improve that crack effect that is seen where the seam is? Yeah, I can definitely do that. It's actually related to what I was explaining right now. So to make sure that all the details that you're doing, because I'm very much at the detail phase right now. I'm having some fun. I'm adding some cracks. I'm adding some little imperfection on that pumpkin, and to make sure that everything works in a seamless way, that it looks like it's part of the same image and the same light scheme. It's all about lighting. So you want to think about, imagine that this piece here that we have, okay, like so this square, okay, I'm going to take that part there and I'm going to bring it into space right here, like in perspective, right? Okay, so I took just like I took the piece that was here, okay, and I'm bringing it right here, okay, just so you understand what I'm doing. So you can imagine that the skin of my pumpkin has, you know, those cracks like you were saying, right? So let's say I have a crack right here. I'm gonna do this like that, and on the other side, in perspective, it should kind of arrive about there. Okay, and then we have, you know, this is a crack right here. So I'm going to do some cross contour lines so you guys understand. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, so you have a crack. You have to think about the light direction and how it hits. So if I have a light direction, and in this case, it's very much going on the side right here. So what I'll have if I move it here, for example, so that's my light direction. Okay, it goes like that. So I have the rays of light. The brightest rays of light will be perpendicular to the rays of light. So you have this light like this that goes like that, right? And it's going to hit my object more perpendicular here. So that's going to be my highlights, right? And then at the back, right, you know, right here, for example, I'm going to have some shadow, and then you have the rest here, and that might get a little bit of light, but it's going to be less bright than this part here that faces. So that's the idea, that's the concept. And if you have trouble with this, I have an amazing module in the Digital Painting Academy that explains everything with exercises and details, that principle that I just showed you in 5 seconds. But that's what I'm doing here. So when I have a crack here, I'm thinking, all right, so maybe this one gets a little bit of light here because it's facing the light which comes to my left, or to the left of the pumpkin to my right. And it's the same thing here, you know, maybe here it gets just a little bit more light as it's facing it, and there the opposite here gets a little bit more shadow. Now, the mistake that I see a lot of beginners do that I seem to be like, that kind of looks okay, but it's when you put too much contrast. Okay, so knowing the direction of the light is one thing, but then when you want to apply it, if you apply it with too much contrast, it's going to look fake. So imagine that I'm putting like a very dark shadow here and then a very bright shadow here. I'm still following the same logic here, but it's way too contrasty. So it's to understand also what's called the fallout of the light. Once again, that's another concept that I explained very well in the Digital Painting Academy. But the fallout is basically the rays of light will lose some power with the distance, and depending on how the rays are going, because rays are, depending on the light source, the rays will go in certain directions. All of those things will help you to understand how to apply them. So it can get a little bit complicated, but the base of it all is the same. It's just try to think about the direction of your light rays, and then where do you have the shadow, where do you have the highlights or the light, and then make sure that it all fits into the same environment. Let me know if that makes sense. Could you explain and put a crack? I just did that, so let me know if that was clear. Ren says, do you know how to make the picture black and white while painting colors on Procreate? That's a great question. No, I know how to put it in black and white really easily, but to be able to paint, the trick that I showed earlier this week, to be able to paint and it's still in colors, that's a trick that I only know how to do in Photoshop. I'm not sure you can do it in Procreate, to be honest with you. But if you want to put your painting in black and white really quickly to see if the values are working, it's as simple as that. You create a top layer on top of everything. You fill it with either black or white, which I'll do with white right now. And then you want to put that layer with a color blending mode called color. And if it's black and white, it will transform your whole image into value. And really all I did here is just, you see it's a layer of white that I put it on top of it. So you can do that in any software. But the trick where you do like the command Y that I just did here, and then you can paint it, it's still colors. I only know how to do this in Photoshop. I'm not sure you can do it anywhere else. Ella says, Ella Sketch says, do you have any advice for better value understanding? Yes. You know, it's one of those things that once you understand value, there's a few things that you can do. First, understand the principle of value, right? So value goes from, you know, high to low, white to black, everything that's in the middle. Then you want to kind of do a lot of studies, okay? Do studies. It will help you to understand how value is. And when you're going to do your study, try to focus on contrast, okay? So if I put everything in black and white, for example, here, I'll put a top layer here. I'll put a top layer, I'll fill up with white, actually. And then a top layer on top of that, so I've got colors, and I'll stop that. And okay, great. So once you have your studies, here's what you want to do. You want to go in the shadow of your study, like I'm just showing you on this one, but imagine that you have a photography in black and white and you want to study it. Look at the value range in the shadow, compare it to the value range in the light, okay? So here I have like, you know, like, I'll put it on the white zone here. I have this black here, and I have this kind of gray here, and I have this pale gray. And so you see how the value range here is not that big. And then you have the lights, and you're like, all right, so my brightest highlight is about that gray, and then you have a mid gray that's about that, and then you have kind of a zone where it goes in between the two, but otherwise you have like, you know, that's the value range of the lights. And understanding the value range for both the light part and the shadow part, and understanding how big those are will make a huge difference in your understanding of just being able to observe your reference pictures and just pretty much anything, to really being able to see it correctly. And then with practice, being able to replicate it. That's the best trick I can give you. It's one of those things that it's like, okay, you have to need more practice, but really if you do it this way and you break down shadows and highlights, it's not going to take a lot of time for you to understand where you're making your mistakes, which big guess is probably contrast. You either add too much contrast in one of those two. But a great question here. Jackie says, thank you. Yes, already had some newbie classes in the Academy. Well, then you're absolutely welcome. If you'll see in the Academy, Jackie, you're going to get into, I believe, the skill. Sorry, what your question was? What about? Yeah, you'll be in the skill level stage. I don't remember what I call them. Maybe it's level. Anyway, in the skill one, I have a really nice module. I had a ton of fun building it. It's going to give you a few laws that are built on top of actual science laws of real science light that will help you to understand how to apply it. I want to say hello to Samir. Thanks for joining. Danielle says, I think Procreate, the layers would need to be merged. Then you would slide the saturation all the way down as adjustment. Yeah, you will be able to do that, Danielle. But if you do that, then you will have merged all your layers. What we have in Photoshop is that we can continue painting basically like it would be nothing, and it's still colors. It's a little bit different. But anyhow, great question, guys. If you have some more, please shoot them. In the meantime, I'll try to just continue here. This is the first time that I'm actually doing this, you know, and I'm pretty happy because you guys can see like how I think, because this is the first time I'm doing it. I did pumpkins with lighting outside. I did pumpkins with lighting inside, but I never did a pumpkin with lighting inside and having lighting outside. And you know what? I found it very, very difficult this year. I'm looking at this and my head, it goes like, you know, I'm pretty happy with what I did with the eye here. So you can see that this, I'll change the color, this little part here, that's the light bouncing from my key light. And this orange part here inside the eye, that's the subsurface scattering coming from the inside of the pumpkin. And it's a real challenge, but it's fun to be able to kind of just break it down. And when you have a hard time, once you understand the basic block of painting lighting from imagination, it's really just a question of kind of like run the scenario in your head. I'm like, all right, so I got a lighting that comes from there, and then there's a shadow comes from there, and then that comes from inside. And sometimes you're going to realize, all right, so I'm looking at all this, and maybe what's wrong is maybe I need just a little bit more dark value here because there's an occlusion shadow that probably comes right in that corner, maybe. And then you test some stuff, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's kind of like doing a puzzles, and I really like it. It's something I really like. And actually, I'm thinking that maybe something a little bit darker there. Nah, that's too dark. Keep it as is. So yeah, Ella, you said thank you so much. You clear some questions about value. Oh, you're welcome. If you have some more, please let me know. Like, I'm having a hard time with the mouth here, so that's why I'm just going to concentrate on doing details. I think I'll need some more reference for this part here, where it's like both light from inside, light from outside. There's some subsurface scattering. It's working right now, but it's missing some touch. I'm going to need some more reference picture. Which, here's the 2 cents about it, guys. Reference pictures are needed to do anything. There's not an artist out there that never looked that paints from imagination and never looked at a reference picture. Even the people that you see that are like the master of the masters that paint 100% from imagination, they don't seem to have like a reference picture with them. That's because they had a million reference picture before that. You need to understand your subject. You need to really study it to be able to replicate it. So every project that you're doing, trust me, go find yourself some reference pictures. And if you're at a part like I am right now, where you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure how to do this, well, just go back to finding a reference picture that can help you, basically. Digital Candy, hi, welcome back. In the DPA, is there a class that shows how to use the new 2023 brushes? Do you mean my brushes? Is that what you mean? And if that's what you mean, yes, 100%. I mean, all my classes are built with my brushes. So if that's the case, absolutely. Also, I teach very much how to not rely on brushes. When I started digital painting, I was like anybody. We get in love with brushes. We follow artists. We think that their brushes will make us paint better. And it's rarely the case. You need to learn techniques. So what I do in the Digital Paint Academy is I actually teach you how to, mine. I teach you how to be able to paint with the basic brushes, and I'm painting with basic brushes right now. This is just like the hard edge, hard brush. It is in my pack, but I have also like a bunch of, bells and whistles and fun stuff in my pack that I rarely use. If I use them, it's for small details or, just small details. Yeah, really. These days, I kind of appreciate just the normal brushes. They help me to get better results for the most part. But yeah, answering your questions, I do teach with my brushes. I actually have a lot more brushes once you join. There's a cool thing that I wanted to implement when I recreated the new DPA, because we had some major changes this year. We added a whole new section. I'll show that later. I'll have a quick turn on the DPA to show you guys what's behind the scene in a few minutes. And I added a whole section called the Portfolio Builder. In there, I have every month a new brief to teach you how to paint a new illustration from imagination. And if you have been part of the tribe, you saw us all working with the brief. But what you didn't saw is I have a giant series of video process that I actually give only to the students of the DPA every month to help them with the project. It was a test that we did this year that went super well, and I will continue to do so next year. So yeah. No, I'm not trying. The thing with details, and I say that out loud to you guys at the same time I tell it to myself, is the thing with details is to not get kind of sucked in into small details that make no difference. And by that, I mean, like, if I go very, very close, and I'm just like trying to get it perfectly, you zoom out at some point and you're like, nobody sees it. So if you keep like just having like the right distance, or if you have like a reference, not reference pictures, but like this image and smaller on another screen, or even on that same screen, it will really help you to kind of see, like, not adding the details that won't make a difference, because that happen quite often when you just like too close. It's been 2 years since I've been at DPA. I did sign up though. I really need to work on the fundamentals. Yeah, you know what? It's not sexy to say, but fundamentals are so important. The cool thing I think with the DPA is I made sure that once you learn the fundamentals, you can have fun exercises with it. It's not just about learning how to sketch. It's about learning how to sketch things that you're interested in. So I added a few modules. I don't know when you were there, but a few modules about sketching, and we're sketching like how to learn how to sketch 3D form, playing with perspective in it, and understanding form, because it's a very important part of it. And so we're doing portraiture most of the time for this, because I think everybody likes to paint portraits. At the very least, I'm a huge fan of portraiture. So yeah, I'm always trying to just kind of think about how to make fundamental not boring, because there's a lot of teachers out there, unfortunately, that they're praising that fundamentals are important, and they are right. But then they're making you like make a bunch of circles and squares, and you're like, okay, but that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is portraiture, or paint a dragon, or I don't know, a pumpkin, whatever it is. And you can practice those things. So that's why I'm glad I was able to do it this year. Just a little, a few classes to show you guys at the beginning of this week that you can have some practice with fundamentals and still have fun at the end of the day. I'm trying to see where I can just add some cool details, but I don't want to play around the eyes too much because I'm not sure of the lighting, and I don't want to spend too much time just looking at brushes to find like texture. So I'm just kind of trying to see what I can add with just the basic brush here. Question from Just Fun. Thanks for the question, guys. I truly appreciate it. It makes me real happy. Sometimes I just blabber. It's better when I can actually interact with you guys. So I appreciate it. Just Fun says, could you tell me how to enable the rotation of the screen in Photoshop? Mine gives me the error. OpenGL, any suggestion? I'm sorry, I wish I could. That seems to be a little bit technical. You know what? The best thing I can tell you is to ask the tribe. In the tribe, we have a channel that is meant for questions of that sort. It's called Tech and Software, I believe. There's a bunch of people that use Photoshop. If they saw the problem and fix it, they'll be able to see it. If I knew how to fix it, I would tell you, but I didn't have that problem. Bean, what difference painting, for example, a plastic and metal, is the value or texture? What should I pay attention to when painting a metal and get the feel of metal? It's a good question. So when it comes to lighting, when it comes to texture, it's all about reflectivity, okay? So you want to think about a pumpkin has a certain reflectivity, right? So they have some highlights. But if you're painting something that it's like velvet, you won't have the same reflection, right? Because velvet is a material that is not shiny, right? So you want to think about like the shininess of things. Metal, you can imagine that metal is almost like a mirror into the shape of an object. All it does is reflect what's around this. So if I'm looking at this, for example, I probably didn't put enough, but I have a little bit of orange here, and that's like the bounce light that goes on it, and it's on purpose because the light the light of the orange here is also going to bounce on my metal right there, right? And then you have those dark zones. Those dark zones, they actually probably represent, and I say probably because there is a zone of error and a zone where it's like you're close enough and it's fine. It doesn't have to be like 100% realistic. But these zones of black, they represent probably the green that we have at the back. When you're thinking about like something that it's like rounded and it's very shiny chrome, it's going to reflect everything in the room. If you're outside, a huge part of it will be reflecting the sky. And then you'll have like sometimes, depending on how the curvature is, you'll have like we have here, you have like a kind of one line of darkness that is like all the stuff that is like squeezed into like one zone. But technically that would be a reflection of the stuff that it's in front of that pumpkin, that it's like outside of the picture frame right now. And then you would have like probably like a little bit of a darker zone here because there's some bounce light from on that pin that represent that bounce light from the back, and probably the same thing at the bottom right here, maybe even here kind of thing. And when I did this one, for example, I'm just doing some guesswork here. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it still looks like, you know, good enough. It could be better, and I could spend more time and find reference pictures that are matching more. And between you and me, I'm not the best at making chrome, but the logic is there anyway. It's just thinking about playing with those values, and the more you'll do, it's like anything in life, and the better you'll get. There's a lot of small reflection you can add. Like I could add like a little bit reflection right here of the orange. Maybe that's the bounce light that comes from there and then bounce back onto that edge right here. Like that reflection here, it's a guess. I'm like, all right, you know what? It looks good enough. It looks realistic enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. And for the beginners, that might look like it's magic, but believe me, the more you're going to get good at this, the more you're going to see errors with it, but the more you're going to realize at the same time that's like, it does the job anyway. It looks good enough kind of thing. It's just about playing with those laws of lighting to the best of your capacity, and you'll get better with time. Really, that's all about understanding the principle first, and then a lot of practice, unfortunately. So yeah, great question. I might actually do that here. That might make sense a little bit. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. So yeah, hopefully I answer your question. Digital Candy says, have you tried the image rotation with your image open Photoshop? Oh, thank you for helping. I appreciate that. All right. I did like so little details here, but I like it. We're having a conversation. It's great. I think I'm going to add maybe some more of that thing here, or maybe I'm going to add just some rounded imperfection here. Maybe like for the people asking me about lighting, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add just like some imperfection here, and I'm going to think about the lighting scheme, right? So I'm putting a flat color here of like a little bit darker. It can be just like an imperfection. And then I can think about if the edges of that thing are embossed, then you would have technically a little bit of a highlight right here, right? Because it's catching the light coming from the left. And if it was completely embossed on both sides, you would probably have a shadow here, right? And see, like I just made it 3D and it looks fine. Now it looks a little bit just too clean, so I might just kind of change the shape a little bit and see if I change the shape, if it looks a little bit better. I think it looks better. So yeah. And then that's when you want to be realistic, but also I could just also have some fun and just take a few of those colors and on a new layer, just kind of add like just little pieces of texture like this, which doesn't look like perfectly realistic, but it looks fine. Maybe it's fun. to just add a little bit more texture. I might actually not do this one because everything else doesn't fit like that, but I still like it. And I was not about to do it, but you know, like I do have a lot of brushes, but I don't use them most of the time. But sometimes you're gonna have brushes that have a certain texture that can be interesting. I think I already used this one on this. Maybe there's something else somewhere. And these I didn't create, so I don't pass them around. But really, any texture that you have on the internet, just find it and just test them out. I don't see really what I'm looking for here. Maybe this, and just kind of all right. I'm gonna add just a little bit more texture with this, and that's interesting. And then you can play in the highlights. You can play with the shadow. You can play in the transition of both. You know what I'm doing here is actually that. I'm kind of, there's like a transition between shadow and light, and I'm like adding that texture in between those two. So that's interesting. So yeah, you guys let me know if you have any more questions. I'm gonna paint for a few more minutes, and then I'll jump on Google Chrome to show the inside of the Digital Paint Academy for those that are interested. Like here, I know I don't want to get sucked in it, but I know there's something wrong here, and it bugs me so much. I feel like there's some subsurface scattering, and it kind of shows already, but there's also some bounce light that must happen. You know, that light from the lip of the pumpkin probably will bounce here a little bit and maybe create like a little bit of a reflection here. Um, that must be darker. That could be darker. That could be still orange. That could be darker. And then maybe some reflection here. Maybe that's what would happen here. Kind of. And I don't want to put too much contrast, because if I put too much contrast, then it's going to look wrong. So it's all about like understanding, yeah, values, I guess, at this point, and being like, all right, so you see, I already have like that cool shape here, that shape here of reflection. I think it's pretty cool. I'll be working with it a little bit later. Just Fun says, help though, I'm looking more for the screen rotation and not the image, but it helps either way. All right, cool. Oh, you have an error with your rotation. Technically, your rotation tool is just the letter R, by the way. If you just press the letter R, and then you should be able to do this, right? Let me know if you're able to do this. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. I think I want to add maybe more of these slight imperfections here. A little bit more of this. That's interesting. So really thinking about just the direction of the light here. I could also add some more bright highlights on the metal. Even the metal, I could think about it like, and do it with like more like that effect, but I think I kind of already like the effect that it has. It's a little bit more simplified, but it still works. That's interesting. All right. Zooming in, zooming out also helps to kind of see what you're doing and how it works with everything else. That's pretty good. All right. And thanks for everybody that's with me on the call. Truly appreciate it. Uh, Let me know if you have more questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to paint just a tiny bit more. And I'll be back on Discord tomorrow. Truly, if you were not there this week on Discord, by all means, join me tomorrow. I'm telling you, Discord is a great place to hang out. And I had a good time going live on it. And what's cool about Discord is you can go live with me. You can share your painting process while you're there. I had a great time looking at the painting process of one of the triber on this week. I don't remember which day it was. I want to say it was Thursday. But yeah, it was just, it was a lot of fun. All right. I'm sorry, Just Fun, that you have a problem with this one. Probably that you would find the answers to that either, like I was saying, in the tribe. You can try the software, tech and software. Tech and software, I think it's called. Or you can also check literally with Adobe. Sometimes they have servers where people ask questions and give answers. All right. This one is close to be done. I think I might finishing it maybe tomorrow and during the day, and I might start maybe some sketch of pumpkin tomorrow. Really chill in the Discord. So if you are in the chat with me, I'm gonna take a few minutes, if you allow me, to show you what's inside the DPA. For everybody that's interested in joining the DPA, we'll have the deal again for a few more days. And let me get back here. So we have the days, a few more days. We have 4 days and 13 hours, says the countdown. And here's what's inside the DPA. So I spent a lot of time actually building the DPA this year. We have 3 main parts. The first part is the learning path. That's this page here. And we've scrolled down. You have the newbie, beginner, advanced, and skill, and finally pro. Basically, these are steps to help you paint from imagination, starting with the first, the newbie one has, it's called Making Your First Mark. I basically teach you all my tricks in Photoshop. How to use Photoshop is really important if you're using Photoshop, but also I'm using tricks that you can find in any software. So sometimes it's going to be a little bit different for Procreate and Clip Studio, but the same tools are just at different places. Once you find those tools, it gives you access to so much more power and workflow to help you move forward faster. And from there, after that, it's all about illustration. So it's really just the first chapter is about learning the software, learning the basic tools, doing your first illustration. And after that, I go to sketching, rendering, and coloring into the beginner level. Each of those is filled with exercises, bite-sized videos, and you can do all these exercises and post them in the community to get some feedback. The advanced has, again, sketching, rendering, and coloring. These are really the blocking, like the building blocks to help you to paint from imagination. And once you have done those, then you get to the skill where you learned lighting from imagination, but also things like a little bit of perspective and how to place the elements of design, how to make a composition, basically. And once you have that, the last module, the pro module, is a step-by-step on how to build an illustration from doing a research, having a brief, putting your ideas on the canvas, and it's a module that has 14 videos with obviously a project that comes with it. You build an illustration. For this one, the brief, I think, is Alice in Wonderland, which is pretty fun. And once you finish that, you have a section, it's called the Portfolio Builder, which is right here. And this is the one that I added this year. I'm super happy with this one. You may have seen it in the DPA, in the tribe community already. Every month we have a new brief. Like this month we have the horror book cover. Last month we had the tarot card. And if you saw it pass, you saw the brief. What you didn't see is all these videos that I create every month I have some thought process where I go through my thought process and explain why I do what I do and how I do it. And then things like just the process video, where you have in more or less speed paintings of the painting itself. So every year, one illustration per month equals 12 illustration per year. So you basically build a portfolio while you're with us. And that's a new part that I really wanted to have because that's what I want to do, is to paint from imagination, new stuff. So I'm pretty excited about it. So let me get back here. So if you have any question about pretty much anything, the Digital Painting Academy or the painting, digital painting carving, it's getting late here. I'm getting tired. The Digital Painting Carving Challenge. Hopefully I said that right. You can always reach me in the tribe, guys. I spend a lot of time in the tribe. That's on Discord. There is multiple channels to reach me. You can always tag me in there, guys. I'm pretty much available at all time. I'll be back tomorrow in the tribe to either paint some more paintings, some more pumpkins, or finish this one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do some new stuff tomorrow. So come join me. You'll be able to paint with me if you have any questions. Otherwise, keep on posting. The winners of the challenge will be announced on Monday, so you still have until Sunday, end of the day, to participate. Thank you for all of you guys for your questions. It was truly fun to have you with me. Digital Candy says the tarot were so good. That's true. There was a lot of cool stuff. I really liked also there was the dragon the month before. It was pretty cool as well. And yeah, the portfolio, what I didn't say earlier is the portfolio builder, it's briefs that are based on professional briefs, which means that we're doing not just an illustration for doing illustration, but we're doing book covers. And, you know, in terms of tarot card, there was an actual tarot card with the dimension of a tarot card. We did a stamp this year. We did some cards for Magic the Gathering. So all sorts of cool projects, and then we're creating illustration for it. So it's really a ton of fun. Just Fun says, could you tell us how to you started to see that you could live professionally as an illustrator? Because I also come from graphic design background like you, and I'm really worried about that. Yes, I could definitely go into a little bit of that. I'll give you like my short and sweet answer. But basically, it was almost about 10 years ago I made the switch. I was doing a lot of illustration in my work as a graphic designer, and I knew that I wanted to do the switch at some point. I bought myself a tablet, and at the time, digital painting was there, but it was not mainstream. It was really just the industry of professional that was doing it, and I was starting to see it. I bought myself a tablet, and I started to, go online, trying to see the videos that were there, and I had a hard time for a long time until I started to find my way. But the way I made the switch completely was to have actually two jobs for a little bit. So I was doing illustrations at night, and I was working my 9 to 5 as a graphic designer. And I did that for a few years. And what gave me the possibility to do the switch completely was to start teaching. So it was in, I want to say 2016, 2017, that I started to teach. I was living in Berlin at the time. I started to have, on the weekend, some workshops. These were not online. They were in person. I would bring my computer to a co-working space in Berlin, and it was a ton of fun. And I was teaching for a few hours there. And then that gave the idea to build a Paintable, where I started to make videos, and that's almost 6, 7, 8 years ago. And little by little, I started to have more contract. The teaching gig started to be more lucrative. Learned a lot along the way. Being an illustrator is not just about having skills about illustration. It's also having skills of a marketer. Being able to share with the world and do it in a way that brings value to the community. All of those things, I've been learning them little by little. It's not for everybody to do this, but if you want to be a professional artist, I think, especially if you're a graphic designer, I would try to just have some gigs on the side. One thing that I'll be doing with the entire community next month, please join us. It's going to be great. We are going to do Christmas cards. The best way for you to make your first buck as an illustrator is to have your own personal project and sell them out there. And Christmas cards are, I think, one of the easiest fun project you can have. So we're going to make Christmas cards during the month of November. And my goal is to take mine and put them on Society6 afterwards. And I'm going to literally ask everybody to try to do a version of that. If it's not Society6, it can be another website, Redbubble, whatever, or you can print them and go on Etsy and sell them, although that's also a lot of work. I think Society6, what's great is people can go directly there to buy them. And then I'm going to ask all of you guys to ask your family and friend to actually encourage you. You know, there is a course that I've been building called Going Pro, and one of the tips that I give in there, to start your career, you have to start from inside out. And what I mean by this is you want to start with your inner circle, which are your friends, family, people around you, coworkers, and you tell them that you are a professional artist. You make, the pledge to yourself to say, I am going to live from that one day. And so you call yourself a digital artist, you call yourself a professional artist, and you just ask them to either, if they want to hire your services or to buy your art. And so next month, everybody will have a little experience to do so, because we'll do Christmas cards, and then I will give you your homework, which will be to ask friends and family to actually buy them on the website that you will have uploaded your design, which will give you your first buck in the best of the cases. And that would be awesome, I think. So that's the more or less answer to that. Roberto says, hi, are things I had to my drawing in the traditional way because I don't have the necessary tools to do it digitally? You think you can still accept my drawing for the contest? Yes, absolutely. As long as you post and you follow the rules that are on the challenge page, there's no problem. All right, and Digital Candy says, can't wait. And Laura says, that's so cool. Well, thank you. So yeah, guys, I'm losing my voice slowly. I'm glad that you like the tip, just fun. I'm losing my voice slowly, so I'm gonna let you guys go for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you all guys tomorrow in Discord to do some more pumpkins, and hopefully I'll see you also in the tribe to finish the monthly brief of this month, which is a cover book for a horror novel, which I'll be finishing and showing you the process as well if you are in the DPA. So see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one, and thanks for joining me today.